Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with the third Commentariat. Today is the 22nd of February. It's a Wednesday. And as we usually do, we pause on Wednesday and look at the comments to the videos. Now, note that this is a video by itself, so you can put comments on this video, and those will be comments on my comments on the comments. So triple comments. The word commentariat, interestingly, is, if you look in the dictionary, it's a fairly new word that implies members of the news media considered as a class. Now, I thought I had made the word up, but somebody got there first. So anyway, we're commenting, doing lots of commenting here. So we'll call ourselves the Commentariat. Okay, so let's take a look at the first comments and see what we can find. A video that just released today was Forging a Vibrant Ham Club. And we'll find quite a few comments on that. But the first comment comes as a comment to a much older review I did of the MFJ 1886 receive-only antenna. Okay, and he goes, my RV Adventures says 6 hours ago, on is off and off is on. That's true. The way I've got the thing here, they've got the switch kind of upside down, so down is on and up is off, but it's printed right on it so you can see it. Of course, the way I have it here in the station, it's kind of out of the way. I try to keep the power supplies kind of in the background. Nick Knight, in commenting about Forging a Vibrant Ham Club, said it would be nice hearing that tape. And I'm not exactly sure what I referred to when I said tape. Nick, if you can, please come back with the time in the video, and I'll see what I can do. Okay, Tom, 10 hours ago, says, I completely agree with what you say here. I have to make a special attempt to make the local meetings because the times just don't work for me. But a few times I've gone, it's a bunch of old men arguing about the bylaws and administration. I will tell you, our club has a lot of that too. Zero interest in attending. Lately, the club has been getting things together like build classes, so there is hope. Well, that's good. Here's Thomas Becker, again, now this one's on how torides work. Been watching your videos for years, and excellent, informative is my best way of describing them. Indeed, your videos helped inspire me to get my amateur extra license. However, the constantly moving camera work in your latest videos is too distracting, especially on a large screen TV. I think, Thomas, based on this and other feedback that I've gotten, that we're going to have to go back to 2 cameras. It's a lot easier to edit if it's all done on 1 camera. But I have an overhead camera that sits right up here on this and points down at this, and that's sturdy. So you don't get the jumping around that you get if the thing is held. So we may just go back to that. I also have a camera behind the teleprompter here that we can use for that. So thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it. And I'll pass that on to my assistant when I see him on Friday. John Gendron on Forging a Vibrant Ham Club says, Dave, great job in your video here. Very important information. Clubs are the backbone of the hobby. They really are, and have been since the beginning of ham radio. I was part of the revitalization of the oldest ham club in South Carolina, YCARS, York County Amateur Radio Society. We employed much of the strategy you spoke to in this video, as well as a few other ideas. We had our rebuilding story featured in the club station column of the September 2022 issue of QST. Congratulations on that. That's great. Our leadership is willing to help other clubs go through the build or revitalization process. What you have outlined here is gold and should be the bedrock of any club being formed or going through a rebuild. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I tried to put some ideas together in that video that basically, if you want the cows to come home, you got to have some hay ready for them. And just coming home and looking around the barn and say, yeah, it meets spec, isn't going to do it. You got to have some good hay. So, on toroids again, Maxwell's equations actually require some advanced math. Yes, calculus, vector calculus. And it is possible to kind of get an intuitive feel for what's going on here. But basically, it's very interesting, and these equations govern quite a bit of nature. Putting a voltage across or current through a wire creates an electric field. The changing electric field creates a changing magnetic field. In a toroid, this field is ring-shaped inside the toroid itself, largely. Okay. When you wrap another coil around the toroid, the same magnetic field is inside, which is how you create a transformer. Okay. 3, a changing magnetic field creates an electric field, creates a changing electric field, which can be picked up by a wire, which is what you said. I'm just summarizing here. Yeah, it's interesting. The two are not actually opposites, because then what applies to magnetic would apply to electric. If you have a DC current flowing in an electric field, and you have something magnetic in the middle, it will create a static magnetic field. This is the principle behind electromagnets and stuff like that. Okay, however, if you have a static magnetic field, magnet that's not moving, and you have a wire near it, it will not induce anything in the wire. What induces something in the wire is a changing magnetic field. So you see a steady DC current will create a magnetic field. A steady magnetic field does not create a current. That's the difference between the two, and why there are weirdisms going back and forth between them. But in ham radio, we're dealing with RF, which is a changing electromagnetic field. And so changing electrical fields in a coil create changing magnetic field, which can create a changing electric field, etc., etc. Okay, the easiest things to remember. And this Forging a Vibrant Ham Club, are you sure you can just turn on your cell phone? It's a lot easier and no license. I think that's designed to be funny, I think. There was a lot of talk when cell phones became popular, which, believe it or not, is not all that long ago. 10, 20 years. Now, a teenager today has never known life without cell phones, but the thing about a cell phone, let's suppose I just didn't care who I talked to. I just wanted to kind of, I want to get this thing out of here anyway. I've got my cell phone right next to the transmitter for the microphone. That's not a good thing, because this thing is constantly transmitting. But if I were to pick this up and say, I'd like to tune around for somebody far away. You can't do that on a cell phone. You've got to know in advance whom you are going to call. I realize whom is getting out of date, but I still like it, because I'm an old man. Anyway, you can't do that on the cell phone. Now, if I want to talk to my aunt in Romania, yeah, okay. But ham radio, yes, you can set a schedule. And people do that. But it's not a reliable source. Without a lot of extra work, extra antennas, diversity receivers, and so on, you can't guarantee that you're going to get a connection. So what we talk about is this is designed to get through in the worst case. Amateur radio is designed to get through in the best case. Cases that would not normally think that they would work, but they do because they're up for several minutes. We grab it and go. And that way it's different from a cell phone. Do hams use cell phones? Absolutely. I've got mine right here, and I do use it. Okay. Let's see. Forging a vibrant ham club. Great job on getting people involved with the club. And another comment by Buzz, 20 hours ago. Right, I have been there in the early 80s. We would go to the monthly meeting, hear the same old stuff, minutes, who said what last month. Now with that, I am with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary 25 years and fire police as well. I ended up holding office, and the first thing I did was to make things interesting so they would want to come. With fire department, fire and police training, videos, speakers. I started with 3 members. Within the second month, 11 members. That is just the right thing to do. You've got it. You understand what to do. A club depends enormously on its leaders. Sometimes, if leaders can catch the vision, they can do some amazing things. Sometimes they just, I don't know, they're very tentative at what they do. We've got a very charismatic president of our club. Kathy is just really something. So, and she also brings in Zoom for those who want to attend that way, and she's got a lot of good things going. The one thing I wish we would do is the program first and have a lot more variety in our programming. So, and I'm just another guy at our club. People know what I do, but I do not volunteer to speak. I could, and I've obviously got enough material, but I kind of feel like they should ask me rather than try to impose myself on the club. The lab at 203 on how to shorten your wire antenna without cutting it says, thank you, and you're welcome. David L. Says on ham clubs, our local club is amazing. They're very supportive and have regular breakfasts each Saturday morning at a local restaurant, and the club station is open every Saturday for people to come by and play on the air. The one thing that I find, though, is that many members of our local club are only interested in HF and neglect the UHF, VHF repeaters. We are blessed to have multiple repeaters in our area, and most of them are silent all day long. By the way, that's normal. There are a few people who use the repeaters, but it's the same small group. It'd be nice to see more members of the club talking locally instead of exclusively looking for those DX signals. This can be a problem for technicians because they can't participate in the other stuff. I note that something that's very unusual about this club that he's talking about is that they have a club station. It used to be 50 years ago that individual hams often could not afford any equipment. So they got together and formed a club and put together a club station that people could go to, use, and so on. That's the way it was at BYU when I first became a ham. They had a club station. And I, of course, didn't have any equipment in my apartment complex, which I shared with 5 other students. And that was before handhelds became a thing. And so I went to the club station to operate, and I was there a lot. And this is a great way to make friends and so on. Now, it is possible that you may end up having trouble scheduling the club station, but sounds like open on Saturday is as much social as it is for the reason of actually sitting down and making contacts, because these days, many, maybe not most, but many hams have their own station, such as I do here. Now, you have a good point on the technician piece of the club. Technicians have a habit of disappearing. They get their license, they think they're done, they move on to something else. Technicians need to be taken by the hand and taken through the first year or so of ham radio till they kind of get their own engine running, so to speak. So more on UHF, VHF would be a great idea. Let's see, Dave, simply one of the best descriptions. I think this video worked pretty well. For running a club, I'll be linking this to a few folks. Great one, cheers. A ham like me said, I'm a club president and I will take your suggestions to heart. I feel I've not been an effective leader, and the information you present brings forth inspiration for club leaders. Thanks for taking the time to produce this video. Well, thank you. And I think you're going to do great things. Sometimes it's just the idea that's needed, not any special personality, just the idea and making it happen. Now, I will tell you a secret that I did not mention in the video, and that is, if you ask for volunteers, you will probably get only a hesitant response. However, if after the club meeting you call a member on the phone whom you think might make a good presentation, that's who, not whom. Call them and talk to them and ask them, in 2 months, could you do a presentation on how you put your antenna system together? It doesn't need to be long, and I can help you if you want, but bring something to demonstrate. And you'll get a lot more response, a lot more positive response if you ask one-on-one. And Endo second tooth, as club president, I feel like I've taken incompetence to a new level. Oh, I don't think so. You get used to it with time, and nobody's going to shoot you for it, and you're not going to lose your ham license. So just do the best you can. Now, David, AC3HT, I believe he is also a patron, has added $2 to this comment, something you can do if you want to when you comment. Don't have to, but you can. It's there. It goes into it's thrown in with the advertising money from the channel. By the way, YouTube itself is having real problems with revenue. Its revenue is down, actually. And one of the reasons for that is because during the pandemic, people watched YouTube a lot because they had the time to do that. Now that the pandemic is over, whether it is or not, you can go either way you want. I was just at the eye doctor's office today, and they did not require masks, nor were they wearing masks. But that it's over, people have gone back to doing what they did before. And so YouTube's revenue is down, which means my revenue is down. It's down to less than half of what it was a year ago. So I've been pushing Patreon, and if you go to dcastler.com/support, there's some other ways there too, like a one-time tip or a recurring tip or something like that. But yeah, like all YouTubers, I need your financial support. Now, mind you, I understand the 80-20 rule, which in this case is the 98-2 rule. 98% of the people watch and enjoy, and 2% of the people watch, enjoy, and provide a little bit of financial help with the channel. And that's great because I'm getting about what I need. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate that. How much I appreciate the fact that if all you can do is just subscribe, that helps me because it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it tells YouTube this is a channel that's worth promoting. Okay, so thank you very much, David. And he says, thank you. Dennis says, I've been in a couple of these clubs, organizations, and they seem to be very stagnant. So I've given up. The old leadership needs to move along since it seems to be the problem. Seems like these leaders are only in it for themselves. Actually, they're so used to their group that they don't think outside of it. I went to a meeting of a local club a while back for the first time, and no one even acknowledged my presence. It was a total waste of time. Thank you for great information. Our club president always recognizes newcomers, and she goes after them and chats with them at the break and stuff to see if they're getting their questions answered and stuff like that. She's just really good at that. And you need something like that. Somebody, and you don't need to be asked to do this. Any ham can do this. Go up to every new face, shake hands, say, I'm sorry I got a bad memory, but I don't remember you. Could you tell me your name and call? And the person will often say, well, this is my first time here. And then you say, you talk with them, make them feel welcome, find out what their interests are. Sometimes they're just there because they're interested in what ham radio is. And you can tell them about it. Feel free to refer them to my channel. Thank you very much for hanging in there. I appreciate it. And there you have it. If you would like to help support this channel financially, please go to dcastler.com/support and pick a method that works for you. And until we next meet for the next Commentariat, 73.